Greetings, YouTube. There have been times, even in the 20th century, I don't know if the 21st, where cannibalism has been required for people to survive. And I consider cannibalism to be a morally neutral act so long as you are consuming someone that has simply died through accident or starvation or what have you. However, killing another human being for the purposes of consuming them, that is a morally bankrupt act. That is an immoral act. You are murdering another human being. The fact that you're doing so for survival is immaterial. It still is immoral. But let's face it, cannibalism, either morally or immorally, is a corner case in the modern world. It just doesn't happen very often. So why do I bring this up? Well, I bring it up because I heard a report on NPR yesterday, and it dealt with a truck driver and a family in their car who unfortunately met each other on a highway at high speed. And in the process, a child was killed in the car, and it was not anyone's fault. It was weather related. Roads were slick, driver lost control, hit the oncoming truck, and the driver of the truck ended up being triggered into PTSD by seeing the dead child. The arm of the child hanging out of the wrecked vehicle just utterly crushed this man. But I say triggered because this man was the survivor, he's still alive, is the survivor of childhood abuse. He was abused as a parent. And not only was he physically abused, but he was emotionally abused. The man ran away when he was 11. When his father caught up with him, not hard to do to catch an 11-year-old, his father said, well, you're going to be an adult. All right, take your best shot. So the kid, being 11, did. Failed miserably. And then the father took his best shot and knocked his son unconscious. That mental framework that not only should an adult hit a child, but adult should hit a child to teach them that you must control your emotional state of mind, because just because you live in a situation you don't like, that you feel you shouldn't be living under, doesn't mean you should run away. You should stay in your place, you should do what you have to do, and you have to stifle your emotional worldview. And that's the lesson his father taught him at the end of a fist. You will stifle your emotions, you will control them at all costs, you will do nothing that will go against the toxic masculinity that has been handed to us by the patriarchy. You will do nothing to alter that. You will become a living embodiment of toxic masculinity. And that worked for this guy, and I say worked with air quotes, until that accident. And then he spent the next 9 months deeply lost in depression and PTSD. Eventually suing the insurance company of the family because he lost so many wages because of emotional trauma. And he won. And I don't hold it against the guy for doing that. Do you know who I hold responsible for this? His parents. And I say parents plural, because while his father seems to be the active abuser, his mother didn't save this boy's life. Now, if this woman felt that staying in an abusive marriage was the best possible situation for herself, I have no moral quandary with that. I'm not going to judge a human being that stays in a dysfunctional, dangerous relationship because they feel that it is less dangerous than trying to escape. I'm not going to judge somebody for that. But if you have a child, it's your job to protect that child. That is your job. And if you can't do it, give the child up. Hand the child to the state, put them into a foster care system, let them be adopted by another family. Because you have failed as a parent. The father has already failed. The father should be in prison. The father should have been in prison a long time ago. But society says it's okay to hit your kids if you're trying to teach them a lesson. Because we are sick. Because toxic masculinity and the patriarchy that supports it has infiltrated itself to every corner and every fiber of Western culture, of world culture. It has seeped its way into everything. to the point where it is like water for fish. People just don't see it anymore. Well, I still see it, and I'm here talking about it today. So that woman had absolutely no issue. I had no issues with her trying to survive for herself. That was a morally neutral act, in my opinion, keeping yourself alive. But where she crossed the line into an immoral act is when she did not save her child. A child that grew up into a man that ended up suing a family that lost their own kid in an accident because he had never been taught how to deal with his own emotional state. Never been taught how to handle hard emotional circumstances, frustration, anger, sadness, how to handle them in a healthy, constructive way. I'm not saying that that accident wouldn't still have been hard on that man if he had been taught these lessons. But it would have been a lot less hard if he had been taught correctly as a child how to handle his own emotions, and if he had been not abused by his father's fist. His parents failed him. And that's why I was talking about a corner case. Because something can be morally neutral when it's done for yourself. But when you start to expand that, when you start to take other lives with you, well, that's when you cross the line. This man's family failed him. And there will never be any repercussions. They will never have to pay for what they've done. We'll just shrug our shoulders and say, well, you know, that's what we people do. They beat their kids. Or they let their kids be beaten. And they don't do anything to stop it. Yeah. I can't accept that.